24.
When you were in China, were you active politically, or what were
I
you
was
like?
always active politically, but I was a young pioneer
Okay.
where
What's a young pioneer?
communist young pioneers, that's you always wear this red scarf on your white shirt. That scarf represents like a corner of our flag, so very patriotic. So we have organizations starting from when you're a child, you go to communist young pioneer group, then you were, oh, it's competitive process. I was the first one to join. I was upset because I said, teacher, how come you didn't choose me? They think I was not humble enough because I had the best grades and I had the best popularity. So I thought, I was telling my friends, I bet I'm the first one who joined Young Pioneer. And my teacher heard that. In order to teach me a lesson, they pulled me back. They did not let me join the first group because they said I was not humble enough.
Not humble
I
enough.
was not humble enough. That's a Chinese cultural way. No matter how good you are, you don't tell other people how good you are. You got to be humble. So I was pulled back. You can look at my picture with the elementary school kids. I was sitting there in the corner without the red scarf on my shirt. I was not happy. But even though I was the best student, I was best also popular student. I was always politically active because I was competitive. Then when you go to middle school, high school, you join communist youth, what is it? Communist youth group, which is, it's like a membership. It's like a Communist Party. Later you join Communist Party. So it's like you have a way of going up in your ranks. It's like your political resume you build up in China. And everybody's supposed to do that in order to get a good career, good promotion, good jobs.
So you're rewarded for being politically active within the Communist Party?
We didn't have choice. That was the only thing we could join. There were no choice. So if either you are in or you're out. If you're out, you're no good. Especially when I went to law school, if I did not join Communist Party, I probably could not even get a good job if I graduate from like court, the prosecutor's house, or some big government jobs. So automatically you're all supposed to join. If you don't join, there's a pressure or you might sacrifice your career. So anyway, so I was doing all the right things, and because we all feel like we were brainwashed to believe, okay, Communist Party was our party. There was no second choice. Then they serve your country, and doing all those right things is something you're supposed to do in order to become successful.
Did you ever notice a difference between sort of what they were saying versus what you had to do? In other words, they promote certain values, but in reality you had to do other things. Like you were talking about, being humble. Did they ever tell you to be humble, or is that just something that they were just?
Well, they do promote everybody to be
rules.
humble. So you are not supposed to go out, brag about yourself. Don't go out to advocate or market yourself. I'm good at doing this. Then people look at you down because it's a lot better effectively for somebody else to say, let her do this job, she's very good. But when I do that, then people look at me to say, you're not humble. And there is always a political criticize party study groups. So when we sit down like this, they will say, do you have something you want to say to another person? Do you want to criticize another person? Then I will receive that criticism from people to say, you said this. My Chinese name was Tang Rong, right? Tang Rong, you say this. You are not being humble enough. So I will receive that publicly as my criticism, as my weakness. So in this country, to be competitive, be able to market yourself, let people know about what you can do, it's a strength. So it's totally opposite. So I was always a smart student, and that was a big hit to me the first time when I was in elementary school. So after that, I learned kind of like sometimes I had to shut my mouth up because otherwise I get criticized. Also, I like to wear flower shirts. I like to have bands. And that time when I was growing up, if you have bands, you like to look pretty, you were being capitalist. You wanted to have a capitalist lifestyle. So I get criticized for that. So I don't know, maybe personal liberty was just in my blood. I was born with it. I just did not feel comfortable when people criticize me for, to me, it was none of their business. I want to have bands. I don't want to show my forehead like this. And I want to wear some colorful clothes besides the communist color, which is blue, white, green. But I get criticized. See, she has a captive lifestyle. That's the big accusation they gave to me as a child. And I want to have a photo album to keep my family, friends' picture there so I can take my memory with me in my life. And I get criticized by having personal album. Captive lifestyles, again, it's like everything is capitalist lifestyle. So it's like because it's capitalist versus communist. So sometimes I just, as a child, I was just did not understand why I was criticized all the time for those natural things I love. And I thought that was my personal business. But nevertheless, I move along with it because I want to be successful. I was a teacher's favorite student because I was smart, make good grades. So I did finally join the Young Pioneer, wear a scarf and be very proud. And I also joined the Communist Youth Group when I was in high school. So you have to advance in certain political paths in order to, someday get somewhere. Otherwise, I might lose out lots of opportunities. And my parents were very poor. They couldn't help me. They had no political connections. They had no money. That's another thing I learned. And my neighborhood were very poor. We all share 8 families living in the courtyard, share a big bathroom, just one big hole on the ground. One for female and one for male. So, but then if you go to high-level official Carter's place, oh my God, they had milk to drink, and they had nice radios, and they had even their own private bathroom in their apartment. It was a big, sharp contrast. So my confusion is that the Communist Party always want us to be equal. So I thought we were equal. We had equal living conditions, right? They share with us. But then by the time I had the difference, like, oh no, they're like upper class. There are upper class people who live a lot better than we did. So that was the first time I started to see there is a big difference in reality. What they wanted us to believe and how they live their lives, how we live lives. Even though we had a socialist rice bowl, we're supposed to take that as everybody's equal, but we were not really equal.
How old were you when you began to notice this?
I would say in high school, middle school, high school, because I treated Mao as God, and I see him like in the cooking fire, and see him in the clouds smiling at me. So he was like Jesus to me. But then, when he died in 1976, I think I was junior high when he died, and finally the party come out to say, Mao was not a god. Mao was a human being. He made mistakes. I could not believe that. It's like, oh my God! It's like he was like God to me. Now he's a human being. He made mistakes. So many people died during Cultural Revolution. I start to question all the years of brainwash that I received. I start to be more cynical to say, oh, I better think twice when they teach me something. So I start to notice those differences. Of course, when the college entrance exam opened up, we start to have colleges again because during Cultural Revolution, all colleges were destroyed. Nobody could go to college. My uncle generation were the most tragic generations. They were all sent to countryside because Chairman Mao said that we all got to learn from peasants, young people. You have to go to countryside. So my uncle, my aunt, all were sent to countryside, very far away, for years, 7 or 8 years, and I was in, I think, junior high that time. That was my favorite uncle who was sent to out of state, very far away, very remote area. I gave him 9 pennies I had. Say, Uncle, take this with you, and say goodbye to him. And it was famous family story. 9 pennies from me, I gave to him. And he was gone for 8 years. So every year he come back to visit. It was horrible. Those generation people, they just barely graduated from junior high. They did not even graduate from high school. Some of them. They went to countryside, learn from parents, and some of the kids came home crazy. like lost their mind. I don't know what happened. One neighborhood woman came home. I went to see her. She was doing magic spells, like, Mom, there's ghost in white clothes. So she was told all of it. And in my province, I remember their generation, one time, huge group planned massive suicide protest. That means everybody lying on top of the train rail to say, let us come home, please, otherwise we're gonna just die here and let the train to run over us.
People were willing to give their life up rather than follow what Mao was telling them to do.
They wanted to come home. They were sent there for so long. They were following Mao because they had a very lofty cause and they believed what the Communist Party or Mao told them to do. But after many years, they still were not allowed to come home. They have learned their lessons. They have learned the reality. They said, let us come home. Otherwise, we're gonna kill ourselves. So finally, my uncle's generation came home, but as a condition that you parents have to retire, leave your job position for your daughter or for your son. Some people still could not come home. They marry local, they're not eligible to come home. So they have to stay there in some remote countryside. I know personally somebody is like that. And finally, they all came